Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. So this is a video that is a little bit different than anything I've really ever posted because we are going to be going over a new Paleozoic card which was just revealed, I believe, in Lightning Overdrive. I literally just woke up, and shoutouts to Goofy Ghost for telling me that this new Paleo card exists. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have been able to see it. But I think that this card is at first glance it seemed like pretty underwhelming, but now that I'm really looking at the card, I think that it is actually a really good inclusion to the deck, and it is going to make this deck a lot better. So I have a couple of situations where I think that the card is going to pretty much be very impactful in the Paleozoic and Frog deck, because, you know, this is my deck. This is the deck that I am really invested into, so I want to go ahead and see what we can come up with. So the main thing, we'll just go over the card effects. So it has the generic two Paleozoic monsters. I guess it's not really generic, but it would have been nice if this was two water monsters or any two monsters, including a Paleozoic monster, but obviously that seems a little too strong. So I think the two Paleozoic monsters is fine. Plus there are a couple ways you can actually kind of play around this, so I'll get into that later on into the video. But it's unaffected by other monsters effects, just the generic Paleozoic effect. You know, it has 1200 attack, so it's not anything crazy. Would have been kind of nice if this was a Link 1, but I think that would have been honestly too broken. But we'll also get into the rest of it. So you can only use each of the following effects of Paleozoic Camberose Rester. I don't know his name. I'm not used to it. Once returned. So you can target one face down card in the spell and trap zone and send it to the graveyard. And if you do, set a Paleozoic trap directly from your deck. Also, it can be activated this turn. So it's pretty nice just to kind of cycle through some trap cards that you have in your back row. But something that you didn't notice that Goofy Ghost actually told me, so also shoutouts to him yet again. You can target one of your opponent's back row. So it makes a really cool control edge against your opponent, because if you're playing against any sort of back row decks, such as I don't know, Altergeist, that's just the first thing that came to mind, but also Dogmatica, you can target one of their back row and send it to the graveyard. And it's really nice because then if they chain the back row, you can chain a Paleo in your graveyard, so you get free advantage either way. If they don't chain it, you get free advantage from your deck. So there are a couple good situations. Also, if they do chain it and it doesn't negate, you can still set your Paleo trap from deck. I'm 99% sure on that. But you should be able to set your Paleozoic trap from the deck and then activate it this turn. So what's really nice about this is that your Paleozoic monster actually turns into 4 interruptions, and it makes it really proactive, which I'll get to that in a moment. And its final effect is that if a face-down card you control will be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So I'm going to show you a situation where this card is actually pretty useful. So I have two Paleozoic monsters set up in the graveyard. You can actually go ahead and overlay these two monsters, so which seems a little strange since, you know, it's a Link monster, you don't want to overlay first, but we're going to make an Opabina, and then at this point you can go ahead and detach from Opabina and search for any Paleozoic trap. So you can search for an Olenoides or a Dynamiscus to go ahead and banish a card on the field. We're just going to get an Olenoides, assuming that we're against a control matchup. And then since you can activate Paleozoic traps from your hand, you can go ahead and activate this, destroy one of your opponent's back row, chain a copy of Morella and summon itself back. Then your Olenoides goes to the graveyard, and then you can link these two off because they are both Paleozoic monsters, and we can go into the copy of Camberose. And then we are going to go ahead and use this effect to send our opponent's back row to the graveyard, and then we can go ahead and set yet another Paleozoic trap from our deck. In this case, we'll set another copy of Olenoides and get rid of a third back row. Also, we can chain our copy of Olenoides in the graveyard to our Olenoides, and then we can go ahead and you can link off the Olenoides if you want, depending on if you want a Link Spider in the graveyard in this situation. And then you can go ahead and go into your copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Obviously that Link Spider step is unnecessary, you don't have to do that. Then Unicorn's effect can go ahead and spin a fourth back row. So that's 4 interruptions, which is actually really cool. It clears your opponent's back row. It's basically Harpy's Feather Duster. And normally you wouldn't be able to do a whole lot with your Opabina, and this is really nice because you are able to climb into Unicorn. And also really good situation is if you have another type of extender, such as a Ronin Toadin like this. You can actually go ahead and make either a copy of Crusadia Avramax or an access code, because then you can go ahead and just normal summon, since we haven't normal summoned this turn, and link these off into your copy of Access Code Talker, making it at the 5300 attack, which is really nice. And then you can actually go ahead and banish you have 3 different types in your graveyard, being the Link Spider, the Paleozoic Monster, and the Unicorn. So you can pop another 3 cards on the field. So this actually adds quite a lot to the deck. especially if you have any form of an extender outside of your two paleos. So I think that this is actually really cool. Also, you can just make the Avermax. I'll go back to that situation. So we are at, I believe, right here. I think that I didn't banish the Olenoides initially, so we'll go back to that situation. So if you are in this situation, obviously, like I said earlier, you can go ahead and normal summon your Ronin, and then you can if you want, you can make a nightmare here. You don't really have to, but you can link off the Ronin and the Cambroster and then into the Unicorn, spin something back, and then you link off your Olenoides into the copy of Link Spider, which I have in the graveyard, or maybe it's banished. I think it's banished, yeah. And then you can go ahead and link these off for an Avermax. So it just depends on the situation that you have. I think that this adds a lot to the deck, and it will honestly be really good. A lot of people were saying that it was a pretty bad card. I think that quite to the contrary. It enables quite a few combos in the deck that otherwise we wouldn't be seeing. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I think that it was a really interesting thing to think about, especially for Paleozoic players. So if you are interested in this deck, I think that this card is at least a inclusion, at least at one copy. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.